everyone. Welcome to the Kazakhstan American Corners and Regional English Language Office Program. Today is our first session in adult speaker series. We are so excited to have all of you. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Saltanat. I am American Corner Nursultan coordinator, and today I will be with you along with my colleague behind the scene, the Sun, who will be serving as a moderator. So, today is our first session in Adult Speaker Series. We will talk about the Determined to Succeed, what it took to be a career change. And as you see here, there is other different sessions, and which session from that list you are most excited about? Please let us know in comments. Just right here, what are you excited about? Yep. By the way, today we're gonna have 20 to 25 minute session, and then about 20 minutes we're gonna have question and answer session. It means that we're expecting you to be very active, ask all the questions that you are interested in chat, and it will be a really interesting discussion then. So, as usual, now I would like to remind you about some of our rules. For a stable connection, turn off your microphone when you're not using it. If you have any question, you can ask them in chat box at the end, or at the end of the meeting during Q&A. Don't be shy, be active. We really like active participants. The meeting is being recorded, by the way, so it will be available later in our YouTube channel that you see on our screen. It's called Kazakhstan American Corners. And the last one, you need to attend at least 3 out of 5 sessions to receive an official certificate. Yep, now I'd like to hand you over to our virtual English language fellow from U.S. Department of State Program in Nur-Sultan, Mr. Agust Garnsey. Welcome, August. We are so happy to have you here with us.
Well, hello. Well, thank you, Sultanat. Thank you for the warm welcome. Hello to all of our many participants and audience members here all across Kazakhstan. I'm really thrilled to be back again for another series here with American Corners in Nur-Sultan. So this is really excited about this opportunity for this new upcoming 5-session speaker series I'll be doing. Okay, so that way, basically, as Sultan mentioned, I will present and talk a little bit about on the topic and the subject. And I do encourage all of you to, go ahead and put your questions into the chat. We will have that Q&A session at the end after maybe about 20 to 25 minutes. So do please put your questions into the chat. I'll be looking forward to addressing and answering as many questions as I possibly can. Okay, it looks like we're getting a pretty large group here. So that way, we'll do our best to get to as many questions as possible. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right, and Sultanat, is my presentation showing?
Yes, everything is good.
All right, great. Okay, so that way, today's title for our session is Determined to Succeed, What It Took to Be a Career Changer. Okay, so just off the hand, just kind of let everybody know that your consent to use of photographic image and audio from promotional material that we'll be doing, potential screenshots or things of our sessions. Now, just a little bit about me, since maybe a lot of you may be new and were not joining my session from previously that I did before. So just a little bit about me. I do have a master's in TESOL, as long as some other teaching credentials such as CELTA and the TKT CLIL. So for those of you that are teachers, you probably do know of those credentials. As Sultanat mentioned, right now I am the Virtual English Language Fellow for Nur-Sultan. I do teach a few courses here in Nur-Sultan at Eurasian National University, and as well as I do the speaker series here at American Corner. And also I work with the U.S. Department of State English Access Micro Scholarship Program So I work with some teens and various groups all across Kazakhstan. Now, I'm no stranger to Kazakhstan. Now, this is a virtual role that I'm doing, but previously I used to live in Kokshetau, okay, so just north of Nur Sultan. I used to be an international English teacher there at NIS or Nish Kokshetau. So again, so I do have experience living in Kazakhstan, okay? All right. So I do have actually a little survey that I would like all our participants here to fill out, please. Just a little bit of some information about you, so ways I can help better, gauge our collective experience. And so for maybe future sessions, I can use this information in trying to determine some, maybe even some more specific content that I think would be good for all of us. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the survey. So please, at some point here, please, everybody here in attendance, go ahead and complete that survey. Okay, and I'll put that into the chat right now. Okay, and it is in the chat now. So again, so the link to the survey is in the chat. It's called Who Are We? Okay, so thank you in advance for everyone for completing that survey at some point here during our session. So I want to start off here first with a quote. Okay, and this quote here is, "Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change." Okay, and that was a quote by Jim Rohn. He was an American entrepreneur and a very popular motivational speaker, okay, for many decades. So I wanted to start with this quote because it really kind of embodies certain things about our topic today about being a career changer. But I feel though that it's also very appropriate to a lot of different things in whatever's the situation in our lives, whatever it is that we're focused on wanting to change. Because I just want to let everybody know that, yeah, the content I'm talking about is about being a career changer. But keep in mind, though, that there's a lot of things that we all wish that maybe we can potentially take action upon and change in our life. Maybe it's not necessarily related to career. Maybe it's about your health. We all talk about exercising more. Maybe it's about family and the time you spend or things like that. So, there's a lot of things that we all really want to change in our life. And I feel that this quote really represents that things don't get better just by chance, meaning like luck. We need to make it happen. Okay. So, time for a change. So I want everybody to guess, how many times does someone change a job in their lifetime on average? Go ahead and put into the chat right now a number. What do you think? How many times does someone change a job in their life? Maybe a Sultanate, you can take a look at some of the numbers that people are putting.
Sure. I just have one answer right now, and it's 1, 0. Why is so not positive? But yeah, another answer is 3, maybe 2, 3. At least 20 times someone said. 5, 2, 3, and yeah, most of them saying that maybe 2 or 3 times.
Okay, that's a good guess. So here's based on a 2019 survey by the U.S. United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, 12. Now that number can change depending on maybe the specific group of individuals. Maybe you've heard of the group called the millennials. So, people that were born, say, like in the 1980s and the 90s, these millennials, that potentially can be an even higher number. Okay, maybe 15, maybe more. Does that surprise you? Maybe it does based on the numbers that I saw in the chat. So again, on average, maybe 12 times, and you're maybe starting to wonder, how is this possible? Or what are they doing? Or things about that. So let's get a little bit more into this exploration about, a career changer. So do statistics lie? Here's some numbers, okay, for all of us. Okay, and this comes from GoRemotely.net, a recent survey from last year. 39% of people considering changes in career do so because of better salaries. Only 14% of the workforce believes that they have a great job they would not like to change. 70% of the workforce is actively looking for a change in career. Only 21% feel they are paid what they deserve. In contrast, 45% of workers say they are rarely or never paid what they deserve. 74% of workers feel hindered by activities of micromanagement and other oppressive workplace practices. And 65% of workers report feeling isolated in the workplace because the environment maybe is just not very helpful or hostile. So again, do statistics lie? Based on these numbers here, what, if you kind of think about it, maybe about 1 out of every 10 people feel that they have kind of their ideal job or thing that they're doing in life. Only 1 out of 10. 70%, I mean, majority of us are always actively looking for something new. Okay. And half of us feel that we're not really paid what we deserve, and majority of us feel that maybe certain types of environments in our workplace, we're not happy, we're not satisfied with it. So, do these statistics lie? Maybe it depends on the context. It depends on other things as well, too. Let's get a little deeper into this. So what is a career changer? So all these statistics that we had here, we need to keep in mind there is a difference between, a career changer and someone that changes jobs. So that initial question I asked everybody about how many times has someone changed their job in their life, and then the answer was 12 on average. No, that's changing jobs. They're not necessarily changing careers. So what's the difference? So a career changer is not, a internal transfer, a promotion, or just like the change of company. Okay, so I'm talking about an internal transfer, maybe from one department to another department in your company. Maybe you're promoted up into management, okay, within the company, within the department. That wouldn't really be considered a career changer. Or maybe you're kind of tired of the situation at your current company that you're at or school that you're at, and you want to go to maybe a different school or a different company, but maybe you're still doing kind of the same general kind of responsibilities. That's not really a career changer. There's some kind of gray area, whether change in status from being an employee to an employer. Is that a career changer? Maybe. What do I mean by this? I mean, basically, you are working for somebody in a company versus you're owning the company. It's your own business. You're the employer. Is that going to be considered a change of career? Some may say yes. Some may say no. Depends if you're still doing the same work. Maybe just because now you own your own business, maybe it's a different outlook. But for certain, a career changer is someone that absolutely can change their profession from, say, from a police officer to, maybe to a medical professional somewhere, or maybe an engineer goes into finance. Okay, so complete changes in your career. So what I want to discuss then is, so is this a good or a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, there's the way that people look at it can matter. So here's something for everybody. Okay, and here's our friend, Mr. Cow. Okay, you can see in the picture. Do you ever wonder if the grass is greener in another field? Well, you can take a look at our cow here. Okay, maybe he's not really satisfied there on his farm, on his land. He's reaching and stretching through the fence to get to grass on another field. Okay, not his own field, but another field. This kind of terms, phrasing, about the grass is always greener in another field. What does that mean? Okay, that's kind of an important thing to understand, in kind of the context of what we're talking about. So what is that? Basically, idea that other situations are better than one's own situation. Okay, so that way you're always kind of thinking, well, there's got to be a better situation than what I'm in right now. Okay, you're always kind of thinking that something's always better, not where you're at. It's got to be better somewhere else. Okay, now there is kind of, maybe some people may say there's a stigma, maybe something kind of a negative perception surrounding someone that changes a career, lacking in maybe because they lack in experience or skills or knowledge or technical expertise. Okay, so maybe, maybe some people, they feel that way. Others, maybe they don't. Okay, now also opportunistic versus maybe being irresponsible. Huge difference here now. Some of us maybe are looking always for a new opportunity. When we see an opportunity, when it presents itself, we go and get it. Okay, maybe to some people, they might think, well, it's just irresponsible. Okay, so you got to think about if you're thinking about being a career changer, is your reason sincere for wanting a change? Can you justify it? Okay. So let me tell you a little bit now about what did I actually do and why? Because I'm sure all of you are absolutely curious. So what about me? Okay, what's my experience? So guess, what was my previous career? Go ahead and just type in some random professions. What do you think was my previous career before I was a teacher? Go ahead and put that in.
Let's see what people think. What was August's previous career? An engineer or policeman? Okay, fireman. What kind of interesting ideas? Finance, IT programmer, teacher, musician, manager, dancer. Oh my God, they're so different. Doctor, manager again.
I love it. Some of you think I look like a hero, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so, because there is a lot of answers like someone about fireman again, math teacher. Okay.
Well, those are all
actor. Someone said actor.
Well, thank you. I guess I got a good stage presence, but thank you for that. So what was my previous career? It was so from a bank manager to an international English teacher. Okay, so I went from banking into teaching. Maybe some of you are kind of surprised about that. You think, well, like, wow, I mean, sounds like such a huge gap, such a big difference in profession, and why does one do such a thing like that? I get this all the time. People say, why did I become a teacher? For all of our teachers in our audience, you probably get asked that question. A lot of people, I feel, ask teachers, why do you want to teach? But, people ask that to a lot of other professions as well. So in order to kind of explain this a little bit easier, I have a little bit of a diagram, kind of like some images that I want to show you to kind of explain why I did this. And for all of our teachers in our audience, maybe you guys can understand this and relate to this. Okay, this is kind of these images that I created, and I'll show you in a moment. They came from my graduate program for teaching that I did. I did this huge reflective paper. It was about a 60-page reflective paper, kind of covering my entire program and outlook about teaching and things that I've done. And I thought a lot about, why did I switch and become a career changer and go from banking into teaching? So let me show you the first picture here. So what do you see here? You see kind of an upside down pyramid. This pyramid that's upside down represents the environment of a banker. Okay. Now, notice kind of the design of it. Everything is intentional here. Okay. Nothing's just for the appeal of the look. Okay. It's upside down for a reason. And the segments you see are there specifically to determine the different parts of the environment. Okay. So myself, the institution, or think like the company. Okay. The customers. Okay. And the peers. So my coworkers, my colleagues. Notice that who's at the top? Who comes first? Well, myself. Okay. And I'm the biggest part. I'm thinking about myself, my numbers, what I do, my performance, that all comes first, okay? I work through the company with the customers. Everything I do with other people, it's going to be through and regularly determined by the company, okay? What is my relationship to all these different groups? Am I the most closest to? Well, the company. Then it's the customers. My peer is a very small part in this environment, complete opposite side. Is there collaboration between myself and my peers in that banking profession I was? Not really. For the most part, it was a competitive environment. not really a supportive or a collaborative environment. So my peers are as far away from me as possible. Here's the environment of a teacher, okay? Notice the change in the pyramid, okay? Parts are equal. I'm in the middle. I work closely with all parts together. I work with the institutions, let's think like maybe the schools, okay? I work closely with my peers, my colleagues. I work closely with the students who would be the customers in that situation. So the main point I'm trying to make is the reason for my change had to do with what was a better fit for my character, and it had to do with the values and the relationships involved in these environments. And I'm really happy that I made this change, okay, of career from banking into teaching. Okay, so moving forward here now. So typical obstacles for a career change, okay? So what are they? We all have obstacles, whatever we do, and career changing has a bunch of them, some huge ones. It's why it's maybe a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do. So like our friend here, Mr. Turtle, challenge needs to be accepted. So what are these challenges? Typically, a lot of it's about financial constraints, things that hold us back financially. A lot of us always feel when we're thinking about changing a career, well, we're just not ready for retirement. We need to maybe save up some more, build some more experience or things like that before we change. We always kind of feel that we're not ready for certain next steps. The main three big things are typically you have no plan, limited resources, limited time. Maybe you have one of those obstacles. Maybe you have all of those obstacles. Everybody's situation is different, but those are the main obstacles and challenges to changing your career. I faced all of them. So you might want to wonder, how did I accomplish this? Okay, so let me kind of break it down in a few very simple steps, okay? So to first sum everything up, great quote here by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Currently right now in the US, during the month of February, we are celebrating Black History Month. We're celebrating, the accomplishments, the contributions of African Americans to our society. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of them. And he said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Okay, so don't be so overly focused in trying to see absolutely everything. As long as you have some specific steps and a plan, you can get to where you want to go. And you just need to have some faith and confidence in that. So where do you start then? What is the first step? Well, for me, knowledge of oneself, absolutely the center point, the first place you start. What did I do to accomplish this? There's a lot of free and easy to use surveys like personality tests, things like that online that you can access for free if you just Google, like personality tests, know yourself better. And you can get things that have been created by many world famous, psychologists and other type of, job trainers and professionals. And I took quite a few of these tests to really understand and get better knowledge of myself and being able to express who I am. Then the next step was a vision board. Absolutely a critical step. Vision boards are probably one of the most powerful tools that I could ever suggest to any professionals or anybody out there if you want to try to achieve certain goals or things that you want to accomplish in life. A vision board. And then, of course, I needed experience and training was the third step. So 3 steps in order to accomplish my career change. Okay. So let me kind of break down just a little bit more details specifically about, a couple of these steps, because you're probably wondering a little bit more about, like what is like a vision board? Maybe some of you do it, maybe some of you are not familiar with that. So vision boards. Now, maybe you've heard other words and how they've been used. I've heard dream boards. I've heard goal boards. I like the term vision board, okay? A vision board is just a tool that helps to clarify, concentrate, maintain your focus on what really matters to you, okay? So literally, this vision board or dream board or goal board is any sort of a board on which you display images that represent whatever you want to be or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to have in your life, okay? Here's an example. A lot of boards will look like this, okay? If you Google vision boards, you'll see a lot of things that this is the typical kind of layout and what they look like. focus on things like you see family, friends, health, getting stronger, success, travel. Okay, common things that people will have goals of things they want to do or be in their life. Okay, for me, I mean, it was career changing. This is more like what my board looked like. Not so many different kind of these colorful images. It wasn't so vibrant. I really wanted to focus in on what I was doing. It looked more like a spider diagram, or maybe you can think of like a mind map. And it was a huge board, maybe like a meter by like a meter and a half. It was a huge board I had above my desk, and I looked at it daily. Okay. What is the purpose of this? Mainly, I mean, it helps to identify your vision, give you clarity and focus, to reinforce your daily affirmations, make sure you understand again always, what's most important to you, and to keep your attention on your intentions. Okay. It's kind of like a rhyming thing there. So your attention on your intentions. Okay. So what does all this mean? It means about being able to recognize things, being able to clearly see the vision. Support daily comes from your board. It helps you to stay focused on what's most important. What do you really intend to do? Okay. Now, when I did my vision board, they didn't really have all these digital tools, when I did this career change. But for all those of you right now, if you're looking to do a vision board, you don't need to have necessarily a whiteboard. Let me just say that, but I understand. So in Kazakhstan, whiteboards, they're pretty expensive. Okay. It's probably maybe even better to try to make your own whiteboard. But you don't even have to necessarily make your own physical board. There's electronic vision boards for like your desktop that you can put on your screen of your computer, or they even have apps for your mobile device. Go to your app store and search for vision board, and you'll see a lot of maybe popular applications that you can create one. And just think about how many times you look at your phone. Maybe some of us look at our phone 100 times a day. Think of that kind of positive reinforcement on your goals and what you want to do in life. If you look at your phone 100 times a day, you see your vision board 100 times a day. Average in a month, you're talking about what, like over 3,000 times? You look at, is that right? My math, yeah, like 3,000 times. You're going to look at your vision board per month. Now that's really impressive. That's influential, and that can have a huge impact. Okay, it's easier. It's not so difficult once you actually get it done and do it. Now, kind of wrap up and get kind of closer to our Q&A session. Again, if those of you that are coming up with questions, please continue to put them in the chat. We'll address your questions, try to get to as many as possible here after my session here. Now, what about my experience? Because okay, so a lot of you see my second step. What was my plan? How did I visualize this? And I used the vision board. It was a central part in everything. But what about experience? Because a lot of us, if we want to change careers, obviously that's an important part. We need experience in order, skills, knowledge, in a specific different field if we want to switch. Okay. So how did I do this? Okay. Volunteering through social programs. This is one of my biggest pieces of advice for those of you that are looking for a potential change. Okay. So if it's career change, volunteering is a great way through social programs to get some free experience. Okay. I did this. Now, how did I volunteer? For example, what did I do to go from banking, into teaching? Okay. So you can see a picture down below there of that's the Memphis Public Library. Okay. So it's Memphis, Tennessee. It's a large city in the United States. Okay. And what I did is I created a public English language program at the Memphis Public Library called Speak Up. Okay. And basically just kind of, say it's, I spent about 2 months to, establish the program that I spent every Sunday afternoon at the library teaching English and sharing American culture. And I did this kind of consistently for another 10 months. So you're talking about a year of volunteering experience. Okay. So what did that do for me? I created a proposal, and I really suggest for those of you who are wondering how to get started doing something like this, there's a lot of opportunities in whatever community that, okay. Please, if you guys can make sure that your microphones are muted, I kindly ask, thank you. So I do encourage everybody to create a proposal, and it could just be a simple proposal but this is how you kind of get this kind of started. You can submit a proposal to local or community groups. They're always looking for volunteers, and I'm a big supporter of volunteerism. It's an important aspect in the American society, and definitely my time in Kazakhstan, I try to always promote amongst my learners and other people about, the role of volunteerism and the impact that you can have. But it's not just about giving, you also get, it's a two-way street. And so this is one way, if you're looking to become a career changer, is volunteering. Why? Because, you need to optimize your time, okay, and you need to share resources, okay? So basically, that was kind of the overview, a little bit about what is career changing, and also just what did I do and how did I do it and why, okay? So now I definitely would want to turn it over for questions now. So I'm going to turn over to Saltanat to help kind of lead in this session right now here. Okay, and then that way we can kind of go forward here in this next segment. So Saltanat, maybe you can help us out with this.
Yep, sure, August. So we're going to the next session, Q&A. Thank you for your speech, August. Let's see, actually, we was looking through the chat during all the time, but we have only 2 questions right now. Let's see them. First, it's not actually a question, but a user Myriad said, I have not had time to change my profession or job yet. It's about. Thank you. Sorry for that. Yeah, it could be sometimes. I mean, I guess it's question about obstacles that you talked about before, that sometimes we could have it, and how to accomplish this one. Maybe someone except of you, August, will answer for that question. What do you think, guys? How to find the time? August, do you have something to add? How did you find the time to change your job or career?
So when it comes to optimizing your time, you really need to identify, because I know that everyone, we have very busy lives and busy schedules, whatever profession you are. I mean, I'm a teacher. I mean, I definitely, maybe other teachers can relate to what I say about, we definitely have this kind of always constant work going on as a teacher in this kind of profession. But when it comes to optimizing your time, think of me. I was a bank manager. I just try to identify, there's at least some period of time in your week where you have free time. Everybody thinks like I have no time, but honestly, there really is some period of time in your week where you're going to be free. For me, I identified it as Sunday, every Sunday afternoon. Okay, I thought at first I don't have any time. I work 6 days a week at the bank. I got a lot of responsibility. I don't really have time. But when I actually sat down and thought about it, I identified that Sunday afternoon, I wasn't doing anything. I had no obligations, responsibilities to family, to friends, to work. It was just kind of like my own time. And I maximized those couple of hours that Sunday afternoon. And so I was able to find 2 hours of time. And I went ahead and created that program. And I taught classes, at the library every Sunday afternoon for about a year. So again, you can find the time. You just need to really think about it. Don't look for a huge time like days. My suggestion is look for hours.
Thank you, August. Yep, we have an answer for Myriad, and we're going to the next question. Let's see. We will have it on our screen, but I actually already read it for you. Where could you find such social programs? I guess it's a question from when you talked about free experience, August. Fariza asked you about that.
Well, that's a good point. So, speaking from my experience in the US, types of public places I would go to would be, first off, like I mentioned, a library. You can definitely find typically a lot of type of social, educational, community programs potentially through a library. Definitely schools as well. There's always potentially some opportunities through schools. Now in Kazakhstan, maybe, collectively, we can share as a group if other people know of maybe specific places that they can go in Kazakhstan, for these volunteer opportunities. Feel free, please. we can work this out together as a group. Put places maybe that you know of in the chat, and let's help each other out.
Thank you, August. That's a good idea to try to solve this problem. I mean, to try to find the that kind of programs together. That's a good idea. And we're going to the next question. I find it interesting. What was your motivation?
Well, good question. So as I show with those kind of those two triangles, really my motivation was I wasn't really happy. I didn't feel that I was making a difference. I didn't really feel like I was having an impact on people the way that I felt like I wanted to. And that was one of the main reasons why I felt like I wasn't helpful and I wasn't helping people, being a bank manager. And I wanted to have more control over what I can do and how I can help people. And that's what really brought me to teaching, because it was a much better fit for my character. So that's what motivated me, was just not being satisfied about how much I could help people, like sincerely and genuinely help people with some control over it.
Yep, thank you, August. So Yerkegul, it's motivation for August, trying to help to people, and it's just something from inside. And we go into the next question. Yep, I would like to ask you I'm sorry, my screen is not full. I'm going to read from here.
Okay.
Just a moment. I would like to ask you, what challenges did you face during the change in your career? Maybe except of that three that you talked about and listed. Maybe something else?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is some other, some other challenges that one can face, when changing your career. There's always things that I didn't mention. I mean, there could be, you know, among the big things about, challenges were no plan, or kind of like no kind of ideas, or no, limited resources or limited time. But looking at it a little bit more detailed, family things are always, for all of us, can be an obstacle when it comes to changing a career. And it wasn't something I really emphasized, because it kind of can be involved in time and limited resources, and it has to do with family. But I feel though that, that was something that also kind of affected me, because I had to move, like my location where I lived. So obviously that has an implication on your family, like having to maybe move to a different home, move to a different city or community. So that's another type of challenge that I face. And that's something that, you can't, there's advice out there, but everybody's situation is very specific though when it comes to family. So sometimes that's something you need to really just figure out on your own sometimes.
That's right. Thank you, Soule, for your question. Thank you, August. We're going to the question from Nursultan. How can one understand that he or she needs a career change? Sometimes there is an uncertainty. We as humans sometimes do not fully understand what we want.
Okay, so good question. So how can one understand that he or she needs this? Okay, is it necessary for this kind of change? And sometimes there is uncertainty, and that is true. And as humans, we don't always understand ourselves. And that was the very first thing that I mentioned, what I did in my path. And anybody else that's ever looking for any kind of change in your life, whether it's career or, like I mentioned, maybe health goals, trying to become more healthier, trying to lose weight. We're all in that situation, right? Especially during this virtual time, we've all kind of maybe put on an extra kilo or two, so if that's our goal, knowledge of oneself, I always refer back to that, because you're right, as humans, sometimes, we're creatures of habit, meaning like we just kind of always follow and do the same things that we always do. And we need to really break. So knowing yourself better through those kinds of free surveys and tests online, like I mentioned, like the free psychology tests, personality tests, what's your type? Am I a red type? Am I the alpha type? Am I, type A? There's a lot of different types of models out there that you can use, but you would just want to start by Googling for some of these free tests out there on personality. And that may help you to kind of understand better what it is that you want, if it's a necessity or if it's just kind of, again, the grass is always greener, we think. Think of the cow reaching for the other field. Maybe just instinctively we think, we're not satisfied where we're at. It's got to be better somewhere else. We kind of have that thought of the grass is always greener. So hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Thank you, August. And I would like to add something here, a comment from Myriad, who said, thanks, Mr. August, for your answer. And I also completely agree with Nursultan. Sometimes I want to change job, something, but I don't know what I want, or maybe I'm afraid to change something. I believe I will do it someday. We believe too. Good luck, Myriad. And we go into the next question. Let's see what we have. It's a question about teaching from Dana. Do you like teaching and why? Have you studied the profession at university?
Okay, so good question. I mean, do I like teaching and why? Well, teaching really has been inspirational for me, and um, I really enjoy what I do, and it's very sincere. My feeling for us, because a lot of us maybe feel okay with what you do, but maybe we, if we're honest with ourselves, maybe not completely, we're satisfied with things, but I'm very satisfied with teaching, and it's about the impact that I can have on others. For instance, look, I mean, if I stayed at the bank, well, I mean, I wouldn't be here in front of all of you wonderful people of Kazakhstan. So again, it's about the impact that I can have, and sometimes you want to do that, and that's really one of the reasons why I chose to being a teacher. And at the university, well, right now I am teaching some courses there in the uh, foreign languages and theory department at Eurasian National University. So I'm enjoying my experience in Kazakhstan, teaching here in higher education. A lot of brilliant minds in higher education, a lot of great professors. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. And about volunteering and helping people, Arujang asking an interesting question. Let's try to answer for your question. Um, Let me see, just a second. Could you meet with my pupils on Zoom to tell about learning English one day? Asking Arujan.
Well, I mean, there's always potential opportunities. If not myself, there's a lot of other really brilliant and a lot of great volunteers. And now that we're becoming more used and accustomed to this whole virtual environment, it really opens up doors to where you don't necessarily always have to have, that, say that you always want to have that native English speaker, that has to come in physically into your class and work with like your group and speak to people. You can do things virtually now, and there's a lot of kind of meetup groups or exchanges between, maybe schools. I know many teachers back in Chicago, a lot of my peers, that they like to set up kind of, global classrooms, and so there are options to that now. So maybe I could, but I'm sure there definitely, there's always somebody else. You can always email me if you want to follow up about that, and maybe I can always help assist you in setting up some kind of a resource for you to meet that.
Thank you, August, and thank you, by the way, to remind me about our emails. I mean, on the corner of that slide, you can see our social media and our emails. So it means you can just take a photo and after, type your question or feedbacks. Just contact us. Here is first my email and then Mr. August email. It will be one more time, just wait. And by the way, from our side, from American Corner, I could add something for that question about learning English. Dear Arujan, you can also join our programs too. For example, just this one, you can offer for your students to join us here and learn English by just listening maybe. And we also have speaking clubs and there's a lot of other things and events. Just follow us, join and let's do it together. Thank you, August. We're going to the next question. Let's see. Yep. The next question, I personally like this question because let me give a little bit press stories. I'm 22 now, and sometimes I'm looking for 18 years old students and thinking, oh my God, maybe I started to do something very lately, and it's make me, I don't know, nervous, but actually I understand that 22 is not late too. So the question for you, August, is what age you were when you changed your career?
Well, we'll say that I was in well into, let's say I was well into my 30s when I decided to change my career. So I had spent quite a while, my previous profession in banking. So it wasn't like I spent like a very short period of time. I already contributed a significant amount of years, of time to that profession, and all throughout my 20s. And so it wasn't like an easy change because I did already put in quite a bit. And I know that for anything in life, if you put a lot into something, sometimes it's hard to change or go away from that, once you're already kind of invested in something. But sometimes, if you have the plan, have the vision board, make sure that you know what you want and you're focused on it, then that ways you can achieve stuff. You'll get a better understanding if it's necessary for change.
Yep, thank you. Also, I have some questions which a little bit the same as the previous one. Maybe they just join us a little bit later. So I will recommend you to see this video one more time from YouTube channel. Like I said before, it's being recorded, so no worries. You can see it one more time after, a little bit later. And we will skip the question which sound same. Sorry for that.
I it's actually,
Yes.
I saw one question just pop up that I wanted to kind of jump in and grab. I saw somebody asked about culture shock.
Yep,
In
we added actually here.
oh,
Yep,
got
here
that
is the
one.
question.
I,
Let's answer for that question. Yeah, it sounds really interesting. I think everyone interested on that. So, Mr. August, did you have a culture shock when you come into Kazakhstan, and how you overcome it for sure?
so definitely, overcoming obstacles is always a general theme in life. Now, when I actually lived in Kazakhstan, it wasn't actually the first time that I had visited or been to Kazakhstan. I actually had visited Kazakhstan a couple times prior to that experience where I lived. So I already had kind of a feeling and understanding when it actually came time for me living in Kazakhstan. But like the very first time when I visited, just like a lot of places, I did experience, culture shock. There are a lot of differences and there are some similarities, which I was actually really kind of, surprised to see some similarities between the two different societies. For specific things, getting used to stuff, obviously, you know, one thing I noticed was like space and a lot of openness, when I first got to Kazakhstan. And that was a similarity though, maybe to some people that may grow up like in a kind of like close, tight areas, like really kind of dense cities. You go to Kazakhstan and it's like, wow, all this space, it's like really open spaces. But for me, it wasn't a surprise because I was used to that. But, other things, some other cultural things were kind of surprising to me. And I definitely, it was a lot of trial and error. I had to try new things, understanding different things. I mean, I could list probably 100 different things that I had to learn in my initial time when I first got to Kazakhstan. But just to kind of summarize, was there culture shock? Yes, there was, but there was a lot of things that were also very similar. So it wasn't complete culture shock, I would say. So yeah, but I really appreciated all my time in Kazakhstan. Great experience. And I'm looking forward to getting the chance, hopefully in this next academic year, of going back and being actually back in Kazakhstan again.
Yep, we will be happy to see you here, Mr. August. Let's see other questions. A quick one. Speaking club, is it free from Nurjan? And I can answer already for this question. Yes, it's free. All of our events, everything that you see in American Corner is always free. Yep, the next question. Yep, Mr. August, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? English teacher or someone else? Minister of Education, for example.
I love this question. And honestly, the vision board never ends in your life. You know, sometimes you need to recreate, redesign your vision board once you achieve what you want, but that process never ends in your life. Where do I see myself in 10 years time? I definitely see, you know, me having an impact in Kazakhstan. I definitely see myself within those 10 years, maybe spending quite a few years in Kazakhstan, maybe in various roles. I don't know if it's legal, if I could be the Minister of Education. That's kind of interesting. But, you know, I don't necessarily have to be, you know, it's honestly, a lot of times we don't need to be an official title to make change, you know, in our society and around us. Every single one of you right now, every single one of our participants, you can be an agent of change, and you don't have to have a real high title or anything like that. Just kind of vision yourself. But I see myself having an impact in Kazakhstan and continuing to be involved in different projects, and you know, and being able to work with all these wonderful professionals that I keep meeting every single day, you know, in Kazakhstan, such as through opportunities like this here for this webinar.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. August. Um, we didn't show it in PPT in slide, but I would like just to say, why did you choose Kazakhstan, not other countries, asking Dana?
Well, you know, I was actually really, you know, interested in Kazakhstan. There was, you know, a few individuals that I had previously had met that kind of helped to, you know, to kind of share, you know, some of the culture and the experience and things about Kazakhstan. So, you know, it just became an area of focus for me. And as soon as I kind of started getting involved doing like a couple webinars, I remember I did, you know, maybe it was like a couple of years ago, you know, I remember I first got started doing a webinar for the Kazakhstan, you know, Teachers of English Association, so KAST, you know, for those our teachers in our audience. So, you know, I got started doing a webinar for KAST, and from there it just kind of built, and I just really enjoyed collaborating with many great professionals in Kazakhstan. There was just, you know, a lot of passion, a lot of interest, a lot of curiosity. It really was just like a really great working relationship I felt with many great Kazakhstani people. And that's what really kind of drew me in deeper into Kazakhstan.
Thank you. And the last question for today will be from Noura. What is your favorite place in Kazakhstan?
Oh, wow. I mean, man, there's a lot of great places in Kazakhstan. Um, Now, unfortunately, due to, you know, to the COVID situation, I wasn't able to travel a lot kind of last year in my time. So kind of the previous year, I had a little bit of some time. Obviously, the cities that I have been in, I've enjoyed. You know, Kokshetau. I felt Petropavlovsk was a very nice place. You know, North Kazakhstan is very nice. Nur Sultan obviously is wonderful. I've been to Almaty, real great, dynamic city. And also, you know, one of the great surprises was Aktau. So over in the Mangostau region, I had a wonderful time, you know, over in Aktau. Met a lot of great people and just a beautiful place out there on the Caspian Sea.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. August. So it's 5 minutes till the end, and we ended with question and answers session. If you have more questions, you can just write them here in our email, nursultanmcorners.kz or augustgarnsey@gmail.com. It's our contacts. Now I would like to share my screen to show you our page. First of all, like I said in the beginning, we have this meeting recorded. It's being recorded, and you can find it here in our YouTube channel, which is called Kazakhstan American Corners. You just type it here in searching, and you can find our channel by the name. Let's see, Mr. August, do you remember our previous brilliant series for English teaching workshops? And yep, and the same, it will be here. Oops, I'm gonna stop it. We're gonna same for this series too. You can find it in YouTube easily and watch it again. It's all about YouTube. And now we're going to Instagram. So as a previous time, for the second session, we will have another registration link where you can find it and how to work with it. So we will make a post like 2 or 3 days before, and we're writing here that registration link available on bio tab link. So it means that it's available here. As you know, we can't put a link in our Instagram, but we make it easier by tap link. You just button here, find what you need, adult speaker series, then go to the registration. Registration is over for the session number 1, but it will be available for session number 2, and then you'll have automatically reply from the Google form with Zoom link, and then you can join us, come on the next week. And I actually ask you what you're most excited about, and I see from the chat that answer was all of them. I'm very happy to have this answer. People waiting for all session in the future. That's great. That's all from my side.
One other thing to mention, I have a feedback, a little kind of exit ticket for everybody. I just put the link into the chat. Okay, you can see the link to the Google Doc. So please, complete that one, a little bit of some feedback about the session. So don't forget, earlier I had a survey to just kind of know a little bit more about our participants. Please complete that if you haven't, plus the Google form that I just put into the link into the chat, which will be a little bit of some feedback about the session now. So please complete both of those. I would appreciate that.
Yep, thank you. It will be great if you will give some feedbacks as, and I already see that someone said have already done. Great. Someone already filled that Google form. It's a good example for everyone else. So thank you. See you next week. Have a good evening. Have a good day, Mr. August. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye, August. Goodbye, Saltanat. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.